Hi, Phil.
Hey Courtney, how are you doing?
Good. How are you? You look so handsome. Your hair, I always like how every day your hair looks a little different.
Yes, it does. It does. It's time for a haircut soon, so it might look different again when we see each other.
The necessities of life, and that's exactly what we're talking about today, the necessities of life, the second house of, well, it's so interesting what we think about it. And I look forward to hearing what we end up talking about because I have no clue what we're going to talk about. But I always think of it as a place of where we need to feel safe. Like how do we feel safe in this world? And so sometimes it's we feel safe with money and possessions and our self-worth. But yeah, so it's interesting. I'll say happy second house day. Happy second house day.
Thank you. Yes, it's such a fundamental house. I think of it as a foundational place where you really start to understand your value and the importance and value of things, which I don't think you can be fully creative or even fully loving and fully expressive unless you have those ducks in a row.
That's it's so true. I mean, it's such a brilliant comment. And so it makes so much sense. How can you be your own creativity if you don't necessarily have the basic fundamental safety or knowing your worth or knowing your own value? How can you be the creative person you're meant to be? You can't because you're worried, you're concerned, there's fear. I love that. I love how astrology could be so much simpler than we think it is. And we could get so lost in thinking we don't know. If that makes
Mhm,
sense.
mhm. It does, it does really provide that extra level of understanding about yourself and the world that you're not going to have if you go through the full education system, let's say. You could get your PhD and still not be aware of the tools that astrology can provide to help you know yourself better and know others better and help you understand other people because when you when you do know a bit about astrology, you can see how it plays out in people's personalities and their energy. Even if you just look at the elemental expression, for instance, somebody who's a Leo has that fire, and somebody who's Pisces has that very watery disposition. So it's so fascinating to see how what could be in somebody's mind completely mysterious and arbitrary for someone with an astrological understanding, they can see it and understand it better. There's a reason behind somebody who's hot-tempered. And you could look in the chart and say, where's Mars? Or is it there's a lot of Aries energy? There could be lots of reason why this person is hot-tempered, but it's not, it doesn't come out of any just nowhere. There's there's a vibrational energy that their frequency is connected to, and that's why it expresses itself through that person.
Yeah, and you're meeting them for a reason, right? Like that's the whole thing. We all have Aries, we all have these houses that we're looking at. We all have Pisces energy, we all have Aries energy, and we might not have per se planets in it, but we definitely have houses and we have the place where they situate. And so in each time, so I think that's even just interesting on where that those people affect you in the houses. And so for instance, say if somebody came in and had a very strong Aryan energy, and Aries happened to be in that second house of yours, right? You might not feel, you might get hurt. Your feelings might get hurt. You might question your own worth, right? It's like, or you might be actually so, I think this is so interesting. You might be so, there might be a jealousy that you're not like that, which I think is very second house. And so, what do I want that this other person has, and how do I acquire it, right? Second house is very much about possessions. So, it's like, it's exactly what you just said, right? How do you acknowledge your own stuff, your own possessions of your chart, your own possessions, and then also see how they're affecting you? And I do think
Yeah,
there brings a peace. Like the second house, if you can get it right, is very much brings in a peace. It feels very secure. It feels very confident. It feels safe. I was thinking about how it's like your sacral place. So yeah, other people are going to affect us. I mean, it is our that's just the way life is, right? But they're good at that. Maybe they're teaching us what we need to know about ourselves or the hidden parts of ourselves that we need to see.
I think I completely agree with you. So if this person with a lot of Aries energy does interact with me in a second house area of my life, and this person is pushing me or prodding me or threatening me, it's going to force me to look at my resources and what I value most and confront that person. And in doing so, I am strengthening my beliefs and my own values, and I'm standing up for myself, which is building more confidence and building more security and allowing me to know myself better, much better than I would have if this person didn't come into my life. It wouldn't have activated that need to be more confident, to be more assertive.
Yeah, well, you do yoga, so it's an interesting question of how we are doing this and we are, and in order to get our second house right. So we went from the first house of here we are, we're screaming, we're in the world, and now we're in the second house and we're going to get grounded. We're going to know our sense of self-worth, our confidence in ourselves, and that is like the lower base of our body and how important it is to be in our sits, like our right? It's like the lower sacral. And so, do you have like a trick or something that you could teach us or something just so we can, because I know
As
when we're
far,
confident, there's a problem with our solar plexus. It's like the second chakra, am I right?
yes. So that's your creativity and your sexuality, and you and each chakra builds on the one before it. So the root chakra would mean just dealing with fundamentals of life, just like an infant would.
Like an Aries
Eating, right.
or the first.
Sleeping,
Mhm.
right. And then there's the sacral chakra is more about understanding yourself as a person and your own needs and how are you going to address those needs. And one way to do it is to understand your own value and how the value you bring helps you feel more confident in surviving in this world. So there's the sacral chakra, you know, there's there's breathing techniques that can energize you and you know when you are breathing in that way, you're not only developing the chakras, but you're affecting how the brain is functioning, how your glands are functioning. It's essentially bringing life force energy more of it into your body. And of course, there are mantras and mudras that would focus on the sacral chakra.
I
I
would
don't
think
have,
like I'm enough, right? So that's perfect, right? Because I'm enough, I am whole, I am here, I am in this body. Like second house is body. And I thought that was so interesting that you said something about the sexuality because brilliant, right? Then you go back from second house to eighth house, which is across from one another, and you have to balance them. And so when I like myself and I'm feeling good in this body, can I have a much more intimate sexual relationship with somebody? And the answer is yes.
yes,
Yes. What is the color of, do you mind me asking what the color of this? I always know this, but then I forget for some reason. Is it green?
it's orange,
Is it orange? Okay,
like a
so you're,
yellow orange. Yeah. The fourth chakra, the heart chakra, is green, interestingly enough.
it is
S-
interesting. I was hoping it was
yeah.
green. I was thinking about how it's so hard. Like money is such an interesting conversation, and it's not an easy conversation for people to have. I think it's one of the hardest things in relationships is to talk about money
Hmm.
or what we value, right? And that is
Right.
right away in the second house, how fundamental this is into our lives about willing to share what we value, but
Mhm.
also being willing to talk about money.
Right. And I think money is energy, just like sexuality is energy. You're exchanging energy, and money's the same thing to me. It it's energy. It flows. It accumulates, and then it goes out, and it builds, and it, you know, rebuilds. But it's really a resource with a lot of potential energy. So the more energy that you have at your disposal, the more confident you can become, the more you can be offer more value to the right partner or the right client. But it's being very aware that it's an important resource, and it's not to be squandered. It's to be it's to be used to help you realize your goals and become a more confident, complete human being that's actually providing something, whatever it may be, right? If the money is an energy that I think if the money is the energy that you're using well, then it's benefiting you, but it's also benefiting everybody because that money as energy is part of a larger energy system, and it's moving about, and it's trying things here, maybe failing, but then trying something there and maybe tweaking it and trying several times until you find the flow. And that's perfectly natural, I think.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's what we mistake money, right? We have this idea, we have a mistake almost about money. We're taught from a very young age that it's shameful somehow, right? Go back to the eighth
Mhm.
house, that it's hidden. It's not something we're supposed to be talking about, but it very much is something that we need to talk about because if you're not willing to talk about it, you're not willing to receive it. It's like it's very important to see it as energy and also that it's an when I'm giving something of value, that there should be an exchange. There's something very kind to, and also if it is valuable, then you'll charge a fee, right? It's like there's an exchange because it's worth something. I was thinking about prostitute. I was thinking about like the oldest, right? Prostitution, which is the exchange of money and in your body. I just thought that's so interesting. Very second house, eighth house um,
Yeah,
conversation.
everything is, you know, whether it's commerce or sexual or you name it, there's an exchange. There's always energy, and your energy can be depleted if money is stopping you from whatever goal it is, or whatever interest you're trying to pursue. And that's why it's important, just just as it is important to have a healthy body, I think it's just important to have healthy resources.
Yeah, well, I was telling you, I was thinking that that is so interesting about, I feel like if you would like to know about the second house, you could just think of the Maslow, like the whole theory of Abraham Maslow, right? Which 1943, humans' five levels of needs arranged in hierarchy pyramid. It's like your psychological needs, like food, shelter, right? Safety needs, love and belonging, friendship and intimacy, esteem needs, self-esteem, confidence, status, recognition, right? Because second house too is the lower side is I am my car, right? Like this is my car. I'm so great. And of course, that would be the lower side of the second house. If you like, drive the car because you love it, great. But if you're driving it to impress people, and then also self-actualization. Oh, wow. I didn't even realize that, which is so interesting because what you just said. Wait, self-actualization, the highest level is reaching one's true potential as personal growth, creativity, pursuing your goals, and fulfillment of your talents. So it's so interesting how you said that if you could get your basic needs. Oh, did we lose you? Did I lose you for a
So,
second? I think I did.
yes,
Yeah, if we
yes, you
get our
did.
basic needs met, will we become our creative beings? And so the way to do it is to make sure that your shelter's in place. And money is needed. I mean, right? It's needed. There's no escaping the need for money.
Sorry, it's a shame that were cut off.
Oh,
Can
well,
you
I
say
wasn't
that
cut off.
again?
You were cut off, but I just talked through it. Okay. I said that you were right in the sense of if you think about the second house and we just go back to the Maslow effect, it's like if you would need money to have food and shelter. So in order to feel safe, you really need to have the basics. And then to get to the hierarchy of it, the self-actualization, it's in order to do it, you go through the different things, psychological needs, physiology needs, shelter, clothing, feeling safe, protected from danger, loving belongingness. But I also think in order to feel loved and belonged, you have to have your worth and you have to know you're worthy of receiving love. And then esteem, self-esteem, status, recognition. And then when you have all these, it's easy for you to pursue your goals and to have your creativity, which it's funny because I knew that there was such a connection to the second house, but I hadn't really looked it up. So it just reaffirms if you want to think about the second house, go to study the Maslow hierarchy. It's interesting.
And it's a complex ladder, but there's a lot of boxes that need to be checked. So I think the second house is a place where you have to put in your time and your attention in order to make the best of all the other houses that follow, just like Maslow's pyramid. It's really, there's a lot of steps there, but each one is important.
Well, it makes so much sense in a way if you
Yep.
think about like that because second house is very fixed energy, and what we're talking about is very fixed. It's very stable and very fixed. No matter what's in the house, right? No matter what planets or no matter what the sign going into it is, it's a
Mhm.
very fixed house. And you have to think about
Mhm.
it as like it's strong, it's sturdy. You think of Taurus
Mhm.
energy, the bull.
And I understand the second house as a place where you realize your talents and you develop them and you use them.
So interesting. It's
You
such a
know,
good
so
idea. It's so funny because I never really thought of the second house as talents. And I think it's so true. And I really like that. I mean, I know that you could think about it as ruled by Venus and there's that talent there. But I think there's something so interesting because I just never thought about it as my talents too. But there is something there, right? It's like, who am I? who am I? And I'm not my car. I'm not the possessions I own, right? And so we're in this one body and we do have talents. We do have talents that are, I think, innate in us. And
And
we can
they
pay for it.
are,
We can make money for our talents, right?
that's exactly what I was going to say. They are our resources. Those, those are the very things that are our resources. So if you have an aptitude for singing and you train and you take lessons and you develop that resource, then, if the gods are smiling on you, you develop a career and you have a great life where there's an exchange of energy because you're given money and accolades or whatever it is to provide that service that you developed, that you worked on and want to share. And that's where the energy flows. Whereas if if you have a lot of talents that are not fully developed or for whatever reason the circumstances prevent you from developing them, there's still many ways to put yourself in the marketplace for an exchange of energy and make a living and all of those things. But if you're really focused on the second house and you have an appreciation for it and an understanding for it, and this is where Taurus energy comes in, right? Taurians know all about this. Every Taurian I know is rock solid, stable in their real estate, and you name it. It's all
Well, and the good stuff,
tied.
the good things in life, right? Like
Yes.
important
Oh,
to
yes, absolutely.
that house that's
And my
stable.
mom's a Taurus, so I've seen this in action, and it's something I admire.
You're so funny. You keep on thinking, um, stand still. No, I do think it's something to admire, and I also think it goes back. You could have the talents, and people could be really creative, but if you don't believe in yourself and you don't know your value and your worth, can you go out into the marketplace and sell yourself? And selling is a very interesting thing. I mean, you do think of ninth house as selling, but it is interesting of your own confidence, your own, and there's no rush, right? I mean, we could be a very older person and just be finding our talent. So there's no, I think that's really important. Just because it looks like it's on the bottom of our chart and the base of our chart and things, oh, the second house, we should get it all right really quickly. Yeah, not really. It's a long, steady road.
Yep.
And I do think it's so interesting. It was so what we want to put our money to. I think it's a very good question. Oh, I keep on losing you. I wonder what's going on today, Phil. I keep on
Yeah,
losing.
I know it's very,
Well, I think it's interesting because we're talking about being safe and steady, and we're not so steady today. And so, how do we allow ourselves to just take a breath,
mhm,
be, be here, and
mhm.
know that we're going to get you back?
And sticking with it. I think that's another Taurian quality and there's, as I mentioned, my mom's a Taurian, and some people can say they're stubborn, but that same stubbornness allows them to slowly and steadily reach their objective. And they do it in a very, they do it in their own quiet way. It's not like an Aries pushing through to get there as quickly as possible or get there first or get to the top of the mountain as fast as possible. That's not it at all. It's slow, deliberate, steady, intentional without being aggressive or assertive. It's amazing to see how people with Taurian energy make such amazing gains, but it never seems like it because they're doing it in a very in their own gentle way, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't seem showy. There's something quiet, right, about the Taurus second house energy. It's like it is it's there's something very quiet about it. I go back to thinking about how we could if we could understand our charts better, understand astrology better, and then whatever planets in that second house, what you need to do to feel safe. So if there's a planet there, right? For instance, I live with Saturn in my second house, and I'll tell you what it feels like. It's like the constant effort and climbing, so Saturn, climbing the mountain of knowing my own value and worth. And I think it's going to be my great work in this lifetime to learn to actually accept who I am and be okay with where I am and who I am. And without needing outside approval, right? But how do I like myself? And so I don't know, do you have any planets in the second house that you could share about?
I don't. My second house is empty.
Well, so for instance, if you had Venus, it would be in order to have yourself feel sharing love, maybe being artistic would be something that would make you feel valuable or you would know your value. And that's, I would think, would make you feel safe. I don't know if we could, let's say Neptune. What would you say about Neptune? Of course, I give you the one that's like secretly hidden and not so clear.
Yeah, that's exactly. So there's a kind of a contradiction built in, I think, between the second house Taurian energy and Neptune. But I think having Neptune there would mean that you would have a strong spiritual foundation
Yeah, or yeah,
that,
well, also Neptune's where you kind of, where that would be very helpful to you. Yeah, that would be very important to have that to make you feel safe, right? To be connected to something bigger. But also, where are you like where are you not seeing your worth? Like where is it kind of where are you not seeing it? Which is
right,
interesting, right? Are you
right,
really valuable? And somehow you're not
right.
knowing that you're valuable, which would be
Hmm.
interesting, right? The your value. And Jupiter's interesting because did you ever hear this? It's like pennies from heaven. Someone told me this once that if you have Jupiter in the second or the 11th house, there it's like a gift. So I don't know what you would think about Jupiter in the second, but
I that's I think that's a great metaphor because Jupiter is expansion, so it would be expansion of resources, and I would see a natural growth there, something that just there's an ease to it. There's just like a second nature to the fact that, hey, I'm going to put money somewhere and it's just going to grow. Or wherever I put some money, I'll put a little bit of money here and it's just going to grow.
oh, I like that. And also I wonder when transiting Jupiter is going through the second house, if people's income shifts goes up or down. It'd be interesting to study. Like if we could go back to, I always think that's so interesting to go back into time and see. So for instance, I was talking to someone I know and I was like, oh, Jupiter's going to go into your second house. Where are you underestimating your own worth? And she's like, oh, that's, and I asked 12 years ago, go back to 12 years ago, what was happening? And she said, I actually switched jobs and I got paid more. So it's interesting because Jupiter's like, where are you underestimating yourself? And now you could think about in the second house of money.
Right. And so somebody recognized her talent and hired her for this job that paid more.
Yes.
So she
And
had,
she knew she went out looking, I guess, right? So
mhm.
you have to be part of it, I think, right?
Yeah, oh sure. Sure, but it was recognized. Jupiter was there saying, See me, I'm big.
I
Look what
need
I've got."
your resources. Someone else needs your resources. Other people need your resources. Wait, what other planets? We have Mars. So Mars would be taking action.
Right. Or maybe having to be uh more assertive.
Maybe be good at like getting things. I should look to see my children's chart because like, are you good at getting? I wonder if my one of my daughters has it like get what you want kind of. There's like a I think
Sure.
like I really think there's this like label. Hold on, I actually have it. And it's like I want. It's like I am. And then is do you know if that's like I want? Do you know if that's
Yes.
what
Yes.
that is? Do you know
I
what I'm
think
saying?
you're right. Isn't that the second house? Or is it I have?
See. I don't know. I was thinking, I don't know. I always feel like I should be looking this up before, but
Mhm.
I don't. Oh, maybe it's I have. I think you're right. I think it's I have because it would be your resources. So the first house is I am, I have. I think it's what I have. It's like what I own, right? It's the ownership I have. So I have, and then you
Right.
could actually then put the planet in. Like I have great work.
Or yes, pursuing ownership.
Yeah. I always think this is so interesting of to look at what we spend our money on, because if we were to take our monthly, what we spend our money on, that is what we value.
You're right.
What do you spend your money on?
Well, I can tell you, I indulge myself with clothes, which I really shouldn't do now that I'm retired, and I've tapered off a lot.
Wait, so what's
A
your going
lot.
into your second house, by the way?
Hmm?
What's
Can Cancer rules my second house.
so
So
I actually think you should be spending money on clothes because it's like there's something safe in clothes, right? And there's something about
yeah,
feeling good about yourself and feeling at home in
yeah,
your body.
yes, I completely agree. I feel good about myself, and I feel like I'm pretty good about what I want and how to buy it. So it's not really that impulsive. And I think I'm usually very pleased with my purchases. I very rarely have regret, but I still think that I really focus on that.
Well, I think that's very nice. And do you feel better about yourself? This is actually really interesting. Do you feel better about yourself with the clothes that you buy?
Yes, I I absolutely do. And I feel like they define me and help me understand myself better. I know that sounds a little um, unusual, but
Wait, I don't think it sounds unusual at all. I think there's a story about Ram Dass, and I think about this so often. And when he was becoming very spiritual, he would wear very, very spiritual clothes. And it's so funny because when I got to be very spiritual about 10 years ago, my kids are like, "You're not going to wear funny looking clothes, mom." And I was like, "No, I'm not going to wear funny looking clothes." Over the years, my clothes have changed. But how we're seen out in the world does represent us, and it does show us there is a sense of security in that, and knowing that what we wear does in a way make us show what our job is, right? I mean, it is an interest, right? If you think about if you go to a business meeting, you're not going to wear. So I do think there's something in that there, what the possessions are and how important it is to have things that you like to put on. I was thinking I actually wore sweatpants to the call today because I was like, we're doing second house. I want to feel safe. And I feel safe in sweatpants. I'm comfortable. I feel good in sweatpants. And I thought that's important.
mhm.
So I think it's
it's and
really,
it's nice to have pieces of clothing that is your go-to, right? Because it does you feel comfortable in them, not only because they actually feel comfortable, but psychologically you're comfortable in them. So you could be wearing a suit and feel very comfortable in it. Or at least for myself, there's some clothes that I just feel more comfortable in. And that really is about understanding your value, your personal value, and what value you bring to whatever situation you're in.
I think it's I think it's important. I think what we wear and how we how we feel, however it is we need to do to feel confident, we shouldn't apologize for it. We shouldn't
Mhm.
be, we shouldn't try to hide it. We should kind of wear it. It's like, this is who I am,
Mhm.
and that's okay. I was thinking about my dad and my mother who wear the same clothes over and over and over again because they don't want to think about it, right? I think that's so interesting. It's like they just feel safe. They know, they go off. And so I do think there's something about this importance of, did you ever hear of this? It's like a thing. I don't know if you know about it. It's like a very big thing right now. It's like a base wardrobe. I do not have that. I have lots of different clothes, but like so every season you change your base wardrobe and you would have like 10 great pieces. I think that's a very second house conversation. And so then you would feel very good in those 10 pieces and you can mix and match them. There's like the colors mix and match. So I think that's a very interesting way to see the second house and you wouldn't have to think too much.
And that's a great use of resources, right? Because you know exactly what resources you have. You can keep the resources you have, knowing exactly how to use them, or you can expand on them. But that's a wise use of resources, I think, because you're exploiting them in the best possible way. So you can still change it up and have new looks, but you don't have to expand your wardrobe, which is really, I think, a very second house
Practical.
energy. Right.
There's something very practical too. So if like it makes me think of if you're not buying something that's not going to be useful, am I just wasting money? And so am I better off just waiting to buy something that I'm going to like for the long run or really appreciate? There's something so
Mhm.
important about how we spend our money here. Like,
Mhm.
and I also think it makes me think about being in an intimate relationship with someone. And if you have different values, how it could be a really big fight. Like if you want to spend the money on something and I don't, how hard that would be in a relationship and probably why we fight about money. Not we, not you and I, but other people,
Mhm. Right.
right?
Right.
You can imagine that there would be hidden stuff. We watched that movie together. Well, we didn't watch it together, but Crazy Rich Asians, and the girl would come back with the
Right.
jewels, and she would have to hide it from him to make him feel more secure about himself.
Right. Yeah, and it's really still comes back to values, right? If you're disagreeing about money, then there's values need an alignment somehow.
Yeah. And I think it's so interesting how it's so easy for us to not understand why it means something to somebody, but maybe we could have maybe appreciation for that. Maybe you said something so interesting. You said maybe if we could acknowledge where another person is. And so I think about maybe looking at the other person's second house and saying, well, wait, maybe why do they spend money in that way? And maybe it makes them feel safe. And maybe you have a little more acceptance for what they're doing and why they're doing it. And I guess and maybe it's an easier way to have a conversation, actually.
Right. For me, it takes so much of the mystery out of human behavior when I know somebody's big three. It just it just makes
Now it's
things
interesting because we didn't talk about the sun and the moon. So let's talk about having the sun in the second house, how important it would be for that person to have good things.
right. And I think a lot of their mental energy would be devoted to acquiring those things, which is a fine thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I envy my Taurian friends who,
Or the sun in second house where in order to they have to have the money to feel safe in their account. It's not just Taurus, right? Like that sun in that second house, boy, you need to, you need that.
right. And again, it's the feeling they have about it, where somebody could have the same resources but still completely feel insecure because it's that's not where their consciousness is focused.
Well,
Somebody might have lots
there's something
of
about
money,
if,
but
yeah, if you are
if
in,
someone has lots of money, but they're focused on relationships, right? So their relationship is making them insecure. No, there's no amount of money in the world that's going to make them feel secure. It's because they're focused on that relationship.
yeah, I think we could always go back to remembering it's our own sacral state. It's our own ability to know that we have to feel safe and that nobody outside of us can make us feel safe. And no actually amount of money is going to make us feel safe. And as long as it's after the Maslow effect. So what it's like if I think it was $90,000. So once someone makes $90,000, the level of happiness goes up incredibly. And then after, I think it's between 90 and maybe $220,000, that's the happiest. And then after $220,000, you're less happy. But it's really so interesting just to think about that, right? It's that our happiness, once you get past just having the basic needs, money can't make you happy anymore, right? But it does make you happy. You need it to feel safe. So it's so important that we feel safe within ourselves.
Hmm.
That's why I
Right.
think
And it's important. So,
go,
sorry,
go,
go
go.
ahead, Courtney.
Oh, no, no, go, 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 go.
That's why it's important that everybody takes care of their second house responsibilities. It's again, that's a foundational thing that's necessary for your psychological and physical well-being.
Let's go through it again. Do you mind just repeating it just so we could, and then we'll talk about it in the sense that if you have especially if you have a moon there, what are those needs? Because our needs, when we have a moon in that second house, we would really need, in order to feel safe, we would need this. So can you just talk to us again, maybe about what that second house, the tools are again?
Sure, sure. So if the moon is there, then it would definitely be a psychological need. The idea that mentally you're not safe and secure unless you have resources behind you. And your motivation would be to acquire resources that you do have a strong base, which will allow you to consider other aspects of life and allow you to do things with your resources. But if you have the moon there, then you know financial security is very much tied to your mental well-being, to feel secure about yourself, which would be very different from somebody who is focused on relationships. That would be a completely different psychological focus.
Yeah. It's
So that's why it feels so fundamental. Of course, everybody wants to have the resources they need to thrive and feel happiness, which is what you just mentioned it. I think everybody wants to achieve that level of security where they can feel happier in general because they feel more secure. And I think if you have the moon there, you would have trouble resting at night unless you felt that you had
yeah,
resources.
probably would have resources. I'll say I'm guessing that someone that has that would have resources in a home. So it is interesting just to think about how important it is for us to get, even if we don't have planets in these houses, we still need to get it right because there's always something transiting into the, I find this so funny because if you're an astrologer, you know that the second house is, eighth house is across from the second house. Every single time that the moon is going through the eighth house, my husband always is worried about money. It is amazing. Like it's like he gets so and he is a Taurus, but it's like it really affects him. And I'm like, let me see if it's in the eighth house. Always
Mhm.
in that eighth house. So, and then my daughter had to give
And
all
the
this
eighth house
money to somebody else, and then she had to give money out that she didn't want to give away. And the moon was going through her second house. She did not like it. So the moon travels,
hmm
every 2.5 days it switches houses.
hmm
You could tell a lot about how you feel about things by seeing where that
hmm
moon is and what your problem is for the day.
hmm Well, the eighth house is other people's resources, so that's where there's the polarity. So from the second house perspective, how can you develop your own resources, but how can you work with other people's resources in the eighth house to develop your second house resources? And that's where you're in I think, the marketplace, the arena of business, where the, there's that polarity
Yeah, well, you
of,
have to get the money from somewhere, right? The money's not
right,
just on, even though, wouldn't it be nice if you could just, like, think about the second house, if you could just shake the tree? But we always have to go to
sure.
someone else's. I guess it's always someone else's money. It's not very rarely, you have to go make money or you get money from inheritance from other people.
Yes. And, there's money is a very interesting concept because even if you have a lot of it, it's still, it's still dependent on its interconnectedness with the general market, right? Because again, it's energy. It flows here and there. It can increase in value. It can decrease in value. It can disappear quickly. All kinds of things can happen to it because of that energy, that exchange.
Yeah, it is really, it is interesting. It really is an interesting thought. I keep on thinking of, I wonder if that's where the money came. Like if you think of nature, because nature's very second house and Taurus, and just I just keep on seeing that money tree in the back.
Mhm.
I actually have a money tree. Do you have a money tree? I believe in the money tree. Do you have a money tree? Oh, you should get a money tree. I
No.
would send you one, but you could just go to the store and get a little
Mhm.
money tree and you should put it in, I don't know, your second house area somewhere in your house.
I do have plants here, so I can add another one.
Yeah, like $9. You're gonna love it. You're
Mhm.
gonna love your money
Mhm.
tree. So you go buy a money tree, I think, and let's see what
Okay.
happens if you get more money from it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
um I really love talking about money with you and the second house. And it makes me think I hope everyone that's listening can see money, the value of money, and to be grateful and appreciative of what we have.
Yes. And it, it deserves our attention. It's something that we all need to work with in order to live.
Yeah, there's no escaping it. Like it makes me think about the opposite house, right? It's like you just don't want to talk about these things, right? Sex, money, taxes, death.
hmm
There is no, if you want to feel safe, you have to talk about it. It's just, you have to. We have to have these conversations and
hmm
have the
It's
conversation.
funny that it's mentioned taxes because how uneasy I get around tax time, even though there's no reason for me to be nervous about it. I still am. It's
Okay.
because it's
Well, I want you to go back so I used to have the worst. My parents were horrible during tax season. So I wonder if there's an unconsciousness, not even about you and the taxes, if it's from your parents. Does that make sense?
I
Like,
don't know.
because my
I
family, tax season was always horrible for us.
yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah. So it it shouldn't be that uh, um emotional for me. It really shouldn't because my taxes are never complicated. But I'm always apprehensive about, will I have to pay more taxes this year? Will I get hit with something? It just makes
Ask
me
your mom.
uneasy.
Well, okay, so think about something. You had Cancer going into the second house. So somehow my familiar experience around money will affect me. And then so ask your mother. I'm serious. Ask her mother, like ask her about how she felt during tax season, because whatever is not healed around, especially with Cancer going in the second house, around money issues, is going to go to you, Phil, to heal.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
much we have to do as humans. But you should ask.
Yes.
I actually, because there's a memory. Our bodies hold bodies, especially with Cancer there or Moon there, hold memories of our
Mhm.
parents or familiar ties with money.
Mhm.
And so I think you should just send her a text because I'll say,
Mhm.
I wonder if Phil
Mhm.
remembers that,
Mhm.
which now makes sense for me too, because I also have that. So Cancer going into the second. So that makes a lot of sense actually. And
Yeah.
Saturn.
Yeah.
So, taxes, I'm not really a fan of the whole tax season either. So,
Yeah. But it's something everybody has to do, right? It's everybody.
well, that's what I was
ev-
thinking. My daughter's just started a job and not making so much money. And then we found out how much taxes she had to pay, and we were like, oh my God. And so this is what I thought was so interesting. I actually think we shouldn't have to pay taxes under a certain amount. So think about the Maslow, the hierarchy. What does someone need to have room and board and food? And then if you're working like a job where it's base salary, you should not pay taxes. I just think that'd be such an interesting concept.
Right. My feeling on that is that if your salary is so low, then you have to use your salary to pay for other things,
For everything.
right? For everything. But you're not acquiring resources. You're just using that money, that paycheck, to buy food and all the things that you need. So
Shelter.
that money is flowing back into the economy, right?
Yeah.
That's it's not being put
Save.
in a savings account. So it would be in the government's best interest, I think, not to tax people who make below a certain amount, because you can be sure that if you're not taxing that money, it's going into the economy somehow. It's helping the economy grow.
Yeah, it's a beautiful way to think about it. And then because you have to pay for all your resources. And I just thought that that should be changed. And maybe we'll put it out in the universe. You never know what life brings, but that would be a very good
Right,
thing to do is to figure out what we need as a human to really just
right.
live basically with our food, health wise, to feel good, to wash our hair in the morning, to have a roof over our head. And
You have shampoo.
yes, shampoo is for sure, I would think a second house thing. Yeah, and then whatever else after that, then maybe tax us. But I don't think we should be taxes under insurance.
Right.
I'm gonna put
Good
that out
point.
in the universe. You never know. Everything's changing. Has
Mhm.
magical powers. So
Yes.
I think of the magician almost, but the magician probably is not. But it is interesting because isn't that I have these beautiful pictures. Oh, the magician's number one. What's the second tarot? Do you know?
No.
I'll just look really quickly before we leave because I think that's an interesting thought. Oh, the high priestess. Trust your
Oh,
inner knowing, which is so interesting because I'll say as we leave it, I can't believe we didn't think about this. Our own instincts. There's like, who says it beautifully is Stephen Forrest talks about Taurus energy, and he says the way someone smells. If you don't like the way someone smells, you can't be sleeping with them. If you have a very strong Taurus energy.
very Taurian, very Taurus. Yes.
So, well, Phil, I can't wait to talk about. We're gonna really like the third house because you and I have.
Yes. Oh boy. Yeah, the communication house. We'll have plenty to talk about. That's right.
I look forward to it. I hope you have a very safe week, that you
Thank
feel
you. You
safe,
too.
and that we have all the resources, and
Yes.
that everyone
Yes.
around us has the resources
Right.
they need.
Right. And appreciate your talents and appreciate your resources.
Yeah, and appreciate you.
Yeah.
Like yourself, because if this
hmm
is like so important that we like ourselves.
hmm And we know our value.
Thank you for knowing your value.
You too.
I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Courtney.
Bye. Bye, everybody.